The Trump administration trying to prove its case on the economy with some interesting charts today, purporting to show the economy is growing because of its policy, not the Obama administration's. That is not how the former president sees it as he ramps up campaign events in places like battleground states, Orange County, California, over the weekend.
When you hear how great the economy is doing right now, let's just remember when this recovery started. Suddenly, Republicans are saying it's a miracle. I have to kind of remind them, actually, those job numbers are the same as they were in 2015 and 2016. And anyway.
All right, let's talk about it with Brian Brenberg, chair of the Business and Finance Department at King's College in Manhattan, for a deeper look at this issue. Brian, welcome.
Good to be here.
Okay, I want to play a little bit of what the White House had to say today in rebuttal to what President Obama's been saying on the campaign trail. Here is their take on who gets the credit.
If you look at the collective body of evidence, the notion that what we're seeing right now is just a continuation of recent trends is not super defensible.
All right, so what do you say from a nonpartisan standpoint, looking at these numbers, how are we to assign credit?
Yeah, what Kevin Hassett is saying there is basically there's three things that really Obama can't take credit for because the trend changed with President Trump. And that's business confidence, it's business investment, and it's GDP growth, the bump in the economy of growth that we've seen over the past few quarters. He's saying we just didn't see that under President Obama. We're seeing that under President Trump. Obama can take some credit for job gains, yes, but he can't take credit for those three key pieces. And that's what has people very excited in the economy right now.
Okay, so how do you correlate, or what is the connection, or is there not one, between things like tax cuts and rolling back regulations at the pace that this administration has done it? Do they get credit for that? Is that accurate?
Well, that's why you see the jump in business confidence and business investment. When you had those tax cuts, when you had the regulatory rollback, businesses started to say it makes sense for us to invest. We're going to buy new equipment. We're going to buy new machinery. We're going to hire workers to use that equipment and machinery. We're going to start putting money back to work in the economy because we have an incentive to do that. So again, when Hassett is talking about what Trump gets credit for, he's pointing to tax cuts, he's pointing to regulation, and he's pointing to the kinds of outcomes that you can regularly attribute to those inputs, those policy inputs that we saw the president go with.
Okay, you know, obviously Democrats are going to say this is about the previous administration. Here is what Congressman Kennedy said when the president earlier this year talked about the fact that he is the reason for these positive changes. He said we see an economy that makes stocks soar, investor portfolios bulge, and corporate profits climb, but fails to give workers their fair share of the reward. Is that an accurate take?
Well, no, what we're seeing actually in some reporting from the Washington Post, in fact, is that this has been a blue-collar recovery. It's fascinating. We're seeing the biggest job gains actually in blue-collar sectors, manufacturing, construction, and we're seeing these gains in rural areas and smaller metro areas. Nobody predicted that. Nobody expected that we would see these kind of gains in blue-collar in rural areas at this point in the Trump administration, and we're seeing it, and that's the kind of evidence that has voters in these places excited. They're finally getting money back in their pockets. They're feeling confident again. And that's what's driving these high poll numbers on the economy that we're seeing for the president.
I recall, as you probably did too, in the days around the election, that we were told the stock market was going to crash. We were warned overnight, and as the numbers kept coming in to show that President Trump was indeed going to win, that international markets weren't going to like it, our markets weren't going to like it. We'd never get past 4% again on GDP. And really, a lot of these manufacturing jobs were gone for good. That doesn't line up with what we're seeing right now.
The critics couldn't have gotten it more wrong in this. We've seen the stock market soar. We've got unemployment below 4%. We've got GDP growth above 4%. That simply wasn't supposed to happen. People weren't supposed to feel that confident about President Trump in the driver's seat on the economy. But he's boosted those animal spirits we talk about in the economy. It's unleashed investment. And now we're starting to see it pay off for blue-collar workers, the people who weren't supposed to see a comeback. They're seeing this amazing comeback. That's pretty good news for the president and Republicans heading into the midterms. We'll see if it keeps up, but from a political standpoint, it doesn't get much better than that on the economy.
Yeah, it tends to be the one area where the president has the best approval rating when it comes to his job, is certainly with the economy. All right, Brian, thank you for dropping in tonight. Good to see you always.
You bet. Always good to be here.